it took just about 3 weeks for gas prices in Southern California to go from then record breaking $5 a gallon to today, we are now over $6 a gallon. Everybody has had it with the rising gas prices. The question is, what do we do about it? Our next guest is the U.S. Representative in Congress for California's 48th Congressional District in Orange County, Michelle Steele. Congresswoman Steele, welcome back to the KABC.
Thank you for inviting me today, Randy.
Congresswoman Steele, how do we deal with $6 a gallon gas in the state of California?
It's not just the $6. You know, I already saw some of the pictures being sent to me that some places in San Francisco and some places in Sacramento, they are paying actually over $9 per gallon. I mean, this is just really hurting low and middle income families the most. And working families, they cannot really drive and they cannot afford a $100 gas station bill every week on the top of. How about inflation? I used to go to the market. Guess what? I paid $120 per week. Now I pay $180. They say inflation rate is 7.9%. No, I think, you know what? I feel more than that. And gasoline price went up 40%. I think it's much, much more than that. We have to stop someplace.
And one of the things that you're suggesting, you and some other Congress people in the state of California wrote Governor Gavin Newsom a letter saying, let's have a little relief here. Lift California's statewide 51-cent a gallon tax on gasoline.
Well, that helps a little bit. I hope that it's not going to be for, next 6 months. I hope it's going to be just, we're going to repeal entirely because state gas tax generates about $8 billion a year. But last year, state had a surplus of more than $45 billion. We are collecting the way much taxes from the hardworking people. I want hardworking workers that they put their money in their pocket, not government to handle it. So they have enough money and they should repeal entirely. But as of now, the governor, asked the governor at least for next 6 months. Let's see, the 51 cents, even less. National average is much lower than that. But you know what? We deserve something from California. So yes, we send a letter out with California delegation members.
It was really kind of insulting at the beginning of the year, even before the invasion in Ukraine drove up gas prices, that Gavin Newsom's solution to already then incredibly high gas prices is, well, we're going to maybe have a tax on the gas tax going, we're going to have a hold on the gas tax going up another penny in July. Like that's really going to save the average consumer any money.
What is it thinking? Average families in California, we all are suffering. We are living in the highest tax state in the nation. And stop raising taxes, stop increasing taxes, let people keep their money inside of their pockets because this is really hard-working money. Why government wants to control, especially, how about this surplus of $45 billion? Have you ever heard of this? They collected the way too much. Let's stop this.
We're speaking with Congresswoman Michelle Steele, representative for California's 48th Congressional District. You can get her at steele.house.gov. One of the worst parts about such a crushing gas tax and having the highest gas prices by far in the nation, like you're mentioning, it is a tax that hurts the poor people the most. It's regressive in that sense. It's not hurting the people doing really well. The people that are just trying to get to their jobs, just take their kids to school, they're being bled at the gas pump.
Yep, gas and, groceries and something that you buy and you pay taxes. It's consumption taxes, means that it hurts low-income family the most and middle-income families. So we cannot really raise this gas tax 1 cent more than what we are paying as of now. That's totally ridiculous. And how about like 1985? We used to produce 1985 to 2017. That our California itself has 56% of gas reduction, that oil drilling reduction. We had over 1,000 applications to drill oil in California. None of the permit was issued since 1994. So our regulation, it's tough regulation, and no permits have been, given. Gas prices keep going up. We cannot rely on other foreign sources for our oil and other stuff, gas, natural gas, and oil and solar wind, whatever that, we really have to provide so people can drive and people can heat their house. And people need this. This is the basic things that really needed by the Californians, and we really have to provide that. That's what government job is.
It really seems like short-sighted policy by several administrations in California government for the past 20, 30 years that, okay, we're going to try to go green. We're not going to be drilling here in the state of California. We don't believe in that. Pollution's a problem. But the demand has not gone down, so we're just importing that oil from bloodthirsty dictatorships. And if you look at oil production on a world scale, oil consumption is still going up every single year. So we're not really doing anything.
Exactly. We need nuclear, hydro, solar, wind, but yes, oil, natural gas. And we are paying $22 million per day to Russia. Now that, President Biden came in and that he canceled the first thing was Keystone Pipeline, right? That can produce 830,000 barrels a day. And we used to export our oil. Now we are importing. We cannot rely on all these energy sources from, foreign countries. That's going to make our defense much more difficult, especially $22 million that you are paying to Russia. Russia can build 5 tanks every day with that money. And they're the one attacking Ukraine. That caused that bigger problem. Now in Ukraine, they might going to end up going to like China, going after Taiwan, Hong Kong. They're going to draw a different defense parameter in Asian countries. It's very, very dangerous. We have to stand strong, and we have to have a strong defense. Means we have to have our oil and all these energy sources has to be produced in this country.
Congresswoman Steele, when state leaders like Senate Pro Tem Tony Atkins or federal leaders like Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi were asked about putting a holiday on gas taxes, either at the state level or the federal level, both of them had the same response, and I'd like you to respond to it. They said it wouldn't be a great idea if we lifted the state gas tax or, with Pelosi, the federal gas tax, because the oil companies wouldn't pass on those savings to the consumers. How would you respond to that?
It's totally nonsense. Did they take the Econ 1 class? Then you know what? It's just basic. It goes to the people, and they can live much better life in California. And you know what? California Democrats, actually, they had an opportunity to reduce costs, but they chose to keep our bills high. I think enough is enough. I think Californians are tired of this heavy regulations, liberal thinking of that, how they're going to regulate everybody and every businesses. And we shut down for the last 2 years too, that it didn't have to with safety guidelines. You know what? During the pandemic, what I did was I declared a state of emergency 1 week before Governor Newsom did. And then I put the business ad hoc committee together, and we opened all the businesses with safety guidelines. Governor got so upset, and Governor shut down Orange County beaches. So they really don't know what average Californians really need. They're just right up there that, you know what, their policy is doing good for California. But you know what we are looking at right now, that we are going down. We really have to save this beautiful California from them.
Right now, what's being debated in the legislature is not lifting the gas tax or putting a holiday on it, but giving a gas rebate. This idea started as, well, how about a $400 check to every single taxpayer since every single person is affected by gas prices? But then members in the legislature thought that wasn't equitable enough, and they're starting to add income limits to the point where this looks like it's going to be just like the California stimuluses, where even if you're below the average income in a place like Los Angeles, which is under $70,000, well, you're too rich to get any help because you're not hurting enough. Does that make any sense?
You know what? Any relief and anything's good, but you know what? When they have all these, we already did this at the federal government. You just give out the federal government just gave out all these money for unemployed people, and then guess what? That started the inflation. And you know what? We really have to think about rational thinking. That how they're going to rebate? No, I think you know what? They should stop state gas for a while, but hopefully that I want to repeal entire state gas tax because they are getting enough infrastructure money from the federal government so they can fix the roads and they can fix the waterways and they can fix the other stuff. Stop raising too much taxes and stop collecting too much taxes.
Congresswoman Michelle Steele apparently debated at the White House was the idea of sending out gas cards to Americans to help with the prices at the pump. What do you think of that?
Who's going to pay for it? That's taxpayers' money. Why they are controlling that? It just doesn't make any sense. You collect taxpayers' money, taxes, and then you're just giving back out. Do you know how much you are wasting there? All these government and bureaucrats and government agencies you have to go through. Why don't we just stop collecting it? That's the best way to do it for the taxes. Lower taxes, let people run their own household.
And I think speed is a big factor right now. You know, people are hurting every single day. Some people fill up their gas tank twice a week because of their long commute, because they can't afford to live right next to where they work because the cost of living is so high here. And yes, it'd be great if everyone got a $400 check or whatever it's going to be. But the fact that that's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks just to hammer out the details and then the implementation of getting people that money, when with a stroke of a pen, they could lower the prices 51 cents today if they wanted to.
And then the Transportation Secretary Buttigieg said, just buy all electric cars. You know what? Only top 2% can afford to buy electric cars. So let's just start from that. Unleash Keystone pipelines and California, that over 1,000 applications to wait to drill, just give them those application permits so we can start that producing our own oils in our own country. We are living in the beautiful country, especially in California. We are living in the beautiful state. We really have to make people have a prosperous life, not just collecting these money and try to give them back. You know what? There's a lot of bureaucrats that has to get involved with that, and that's wasting money there.
Congresswoman Michelle Steele, she represents California's 48th Congressional District in Orange County. Her website is steele.house.gov, and you can follow her on Twitter at Rep Steele. Congresswoman Steele, thanks so much for joining us today on the Fix California Hour.
Thank you for having me today.